Alright, so welcome back once again. Let's just put it under here. Okay, so in this video what we are going to do is to solve the previous exercise, the previous question, that we simply have to print a right angle rectangle that has the following pattern. So for example, n equals to 3, that's the value that we receive from the user. Then in this case we have to print this rectangle, so 1 2 and 1 2 3. Okay, so I think the instructions are pretty clear to you guys, and the one main thing that we have to understand is what will be the logic and how we should use our C programming language to solve this exercise. And what I suggest to you guys is to start with the following idea, okay? So let's start and try to do it with just using one loop, okay? Just using one for loop. So for I equals to 1, as long as I is less than or equals to n, probably, right? I plus plus. So that's basically where a lot of students get stuck. And the question that comes here is, what should you use in this for loop? So you know that on the first line you should print 1, on the second line you should print 1 2, and on the third line you should print 1 2 3. But how can you express it here in the body of the loop? That's a difficult question, because we may use printf I, but in this case we will simply print 1 2 3. We may also, I don't know, do it like until n-1 or n-2, but it will not solve our problem here. So what should you do? And basically my recommendation is to start thinking of additional loop, of a nested loop. So we will simply use the variable I. We will use it as part of the out loop, okay, the outer loop, and we will also use additional inside loop that I will explain you guys in a moment. Don't freak out, it's okay, don't worry. We will simply use additional loop, and for this loop we will create a temp variable, some additional variable that we will call it j. So it will look like this. So for j equals to 1, okay, let's say, okay, I'm just writing some option. You will tell me if that's okay or not. As long as j is less than or equal to n, j plus plus, and here we will print the value of j, okay? So what do you think will be printed in this case to the screen? So let's build and run and see. First of all, let's see for ourselves what will be printed to the screen, and then make some conclusions, okay? So let's insert, I don't know, 3. So you can see here 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and 1 2 3 once again. So just to let you know how this nested loop works, basically we start from the outer loop with I equals to 1. And we run the body of this loop 3 times for I equals to 1, for I equals to 2, and for I equals to 3. Okay, so 3 times we need to run the body of this loop. So 1, 2, and 3, as long as I equals to 1, 2, and 3. And then on every iteration of the outer loop, we will execute this for loop. So we will execute this for loop for I equals to 1, right? I equals to 2, and I equals to 3. And what will happen inside of this loop? Inside of this inner loop, we will also execute this printf command. How many times? How many times we will do it? 3 times when j equals to 1, j equals to 2, and j equals to 3. So that's where we print 1 2 3 for the first time. Okay, so first iteration prints 1, second prints 2, third prints 3. But we are not done, because we completed just one iteration of the outer loop. And now we will come here again. I will be incremented and equal to 2, and we will execute the body of this loop once again. And then the third time we will execute it once again. So on every iteration of the outer for loop, we execute the full loop of this inner iteration with all the iterations that print 1 2 3 to the screen. So I hope that's clear. It's very important to understand this concept. And once you know this much, let's start thinking about how we can print, like, I don't know, let's basically just add also additional line. Let's add printf %n, so that this way things will be even more clear to you, and of course semicolon at the end. So let's build and run it once again and see what happens. Basically, what will be the shape, the pattern that we will get right now. So 3. Oh, okay. So now you can see that you print 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on every line. So every line simply represents one iteration of the outer loop. And every column represents one iteration of the inner loop inside the outer loop. So for that, let's simply change this variable n to be variable I, okay? And now let's build and run it. So this case we will see, let me explain you guys everything in just a second. So here is 3. And there you go. There is your right angle rectangle pattern, just like we were requested. And how it works basically. So we start with I equals to 1, okay? And we come here to this loop. In this loop, we assign the value of j to be equal to 1, and that's okay. We print 1 to the screen. Then we increment j by 1, j equals to 2. And we ask the following question. Is 2 less than or equals to 1? Is it? No, of course. So that's why we exit the inner loop and we simply print a new line. Once we are done printing the new line, we come here to the outer loop, we increment I by 1, and we have I equals to 2. Then we come to the inner loop once again, j equals to 1, so we know that j is less than or equals to 2 in this case, that 1 is less than or equals to 2. We print the value of 1. Then we print the value of 2 because j will be incremented to be equal to 2, and 2 is less than or equals to 2, right? Because I equals to 2. We print the value of 2, and then when j equals to 3, this condition returns false, and we simply print the new line. Awesome. So now the last iteration, we know that I equals to 3, and that's how we do it. Again, we simply execute the inner loop from 1 up to 3. So basically, all that has changed is just this condition of j as long as it's less than or equals to I. So let's build and run it just to make sure that, for example, if we have, I don't know, 10, value of 10, so yeah, you can see the exact pattern that you would want to see on the screen printed exactly as requested. So this exercise was completed successfully, and I think you're making really good progress with the material so far. That's not a basic understanding of the inner for loops and using like a for loop inside of another for loop, but I think we've covered everything up pretty good. And if you still have any questions, you may also use, okay, for example, just for your sake and for your simplicity, just to use some table and to draw like what will be the value of I, okay, let's say for I equals to 1, what will be executed, j equals to 1, j equals to 2, if it will be executed, whether the result of the condition will be true or false, okay, and simply running it even on a piece of paper, that will also be okay. Just make sure that you understand this concept completely. Even watch this video again if it's necessary for you. And yeah, so as always guys, my name is Vlad. I'm really excited and happy to teach you this C programming course. And until the next video, I wish you good luck, practice a lot, and we'll see you then.